years old, and I met a guy on a train, and he asked me, "Do I do vision boards? Do I believe in vision casting?" Never heard of it. Never heard of Rich Dad Poor Dad. None of those motivational things. And so that day, he gave me a. He was passing out these pieces of paper, and on the paper it says, "What would your dream life look like?" And I will never ever forget that. So I filled out the paper. I talked about everything that I wanted to do, and I placed it on my bedroom wall. So when I got up in the morning, I would look at my different goals that I had written down. I wrote down that I wanted to own a salon, I wanted to own a boutique, I wanted to and be an inspiring, successful businesswoman. And so 18 years later, I am sitting in that seat. My manifested dreams are reality. There's no longer dreams. There are no longer goals. They are answered prayers, and they are manifested on today. And so I want to encourage you through my own story, through my testimony, that will become your victory, that no matter what it is that you face from day to day, know that this is your time, because when you begin to work at whatever it is that you're doing, I believe that the universe responds to what you put out. So every cent that you invest in your business, every concept that you work on, create business cards, as you're passing out your card, you just gave the universe permission to work on your behalf. Earl Nightingale says that we become what we think. And so, believe it or not, you are your thoughts. Your previous thoughts are the manifestation of where you are today. So if you thought that you could not do it, guess what? Do not be upset that you are not where you want to be. Because a lot of times we see people in passing. We go to reunions and we see people who sat in the same chairs that we have. We see people that go to the same church. We see people who grew up in our neighborhoods. You have one person who is winning in life, and you see another person who is in the exact same place that they were in, say, 10, 20 years ago. And our word is made up by the confession that comes out of our mouth. I have sat so many times in coaching sessions with different people, and they will say, "You know what, I just can't. It's just not enough time in a day. It's just not enough. It's just not enough." And everybody is doing it. And guess what? Everybody is not doing what you want to do. I will never forget when it was time for me to author my first book. Since then, I have authored 3 different books. One on my personal testimony of being homeless and making 6 figures by the age of 26. My second book was about a visionary journal. And in that journal, I talk about how to create a plan, a winning game plan. And when you can create that winning game plan, there is absolutely nothing that you can do. There is absolutely nothing that you cannot do if you have a winning plan. So if you have never handwritten anything out as it relates to your business or your life in general, grab a copy of my book. You can go to my website at www.coachkellyspeaks.net. You can look at previous episodes of the Coach Kellie Speaks Show, learn different things about life, and just my personal blog, which is coachkelly.com. And you can go and purchase my books. My third book, which you will hear about later, is really talking about being a visionary. A visionary is a person who most of the time is a person who is an overachiever, but they can be all over the place. Like, this person has a natural born talent. For me, I know that I have an anointing for business. I have never worked for anyone in my entire life. I don't plan on it, but I definitely have done it because I am a visionary. I am a person who plants the seeds. that germinates, and now I am able to flourish in my business. And not just that, I am now helping other people, not just in my community, but all over the world. I looked at my stats from this week, from my previous shows, and saw that there are people viewing this show in Ireland, in Brazil, and all over the world. If it wasn't for the internet, if it wasn't for Facebook, Periscope, and all these other venues, I would not be able to ship my books to Brazil, to Canada, all over the United States and beyond. So I have this great opportunity for you, those that are watching via Facebook and on Instagram, watching even on the website. You can go onto the CoachKellie.com and you can join a select group of people. We have a millionaire mindset group and a career compass group. The career compass group is for those that are in a corporate setting. A lot of people say, how do you climb the corporate ladder? Well, I have the solution to do that. If you want to be a part of our millionaire mindset that we started 2 years ago, I can help you literally step into your business and give you actual practical strategies on how to use social media and use social media platforms to become wealthy. And so if you go onto my website, sign up for our newsletter. We have amazing tips. I will give you a tip per day. Yes, I will flood your email, but it will be purposeful. I will give you tips to help you to navigate through this life of business. Things are moving in such a fast pace that sometimes you can feel lost in the sauce, okay? So go onto my website. Generally, my books sell out as soon as I get off of any streaming, whether it's Facebook, here, or whatever. Generally, my books sell out really, really fast. And so I'm just encouraging you guys to believe again. I just had a coaching session today, and I was talking to a young lady, and I was just kept driving the point that there is something that is on the inside of you that is connected to someone else's destiny. And when you begin to step into the purpose lane, you begin to have all of these concepts. I know for myself, it wasn't until I sat in my house and says, Lord, show me my purpose, that doors started closing and new doors started opening. And so it wasn't until I decided to publish a book that it seemed like everybody around me was doing the same thing. And I got a little frustrated because I said, how am I going to compete against all of these other people? I mean, bookstores are full of books. And one of the things that God said to me, when you go into Barnes and Noble, when you go into one of those huge bookstores, there is something that guides you straight to the book that you need to read. And so the same thing applies to me. So my books are on Barnes & Noble. I am a Amazon best-selling author. I would not have been able to do that with social media. So I have some power scopes that are on my website. They are on sale for $19.99 for a limited time. And you can jump on a scope with me. I will help you to navigate your next level. So join the conversation each and every Monday on Listen Vision Live. This show is going to be life-changing. I have a young lady here that she is going to knock your socks off. I listen to her on Facebook Live. I often share her posts because she is so organic when it comes down to just telling you the real about life. A lot of people will sugarcoat the things that they have been through, not her. And I love transparent people. And one of the things that I talk about is transitioning into purpose through transparency. I went to a women's conference and the women were raw and they were uncut. And I said to myself, this is what I want to do. I'm not looking for those who are totally perfect. That is not my audience. My audience is women in transition. women that have been through different challenges like myself. As I talked about on my last show, I was homeless. I lived in a hotel on Allentown Road. I washed my clothes out in the sink and dried it with the blow dryer at the hotel, but I still was living my purpose. I was still living my dream. A lot of people didn't even know I was on my way to TV One to film a reality show called Textures and Tones. So people were calling me from LA to film me, and I was living in a hotel, which lets you know that purpose is not about how much money you have in your bank account. Prosperity is not a bank account amount. It's where God calls you to. And so many people are waiting, and they're thinking that they can't launch out because they don't have no money in their bank account. When I started my boutique with the clothes in my closet. I did not take out a business loan. I did not have a rich uncle to fund my vision. I literally had just broken down on Branch Avenue. My car engine was totally out, and I needed to get some money real fast. I began to take all of my clothes out of my closet, all of my designer bags, jewelry, and I sold it at my station in the salon that I work with. And I literally started a business. Didn't even intentionally start the business. I was just in a place of need. But it's amazing to me that even in a place of need, God can birth some international thing in your life. And the effort you have for others is your currency. My mom says to me, stop living in a place of scarcity, because scarcity is the reason why in the DMV, everybody is in competition with each other because you believe that there's not enough. And I rebuke that right now. There is enough for you. Tap into what God has called you to. There's a whole new lane. I say it all the time. People say, how is it that you stay in your lane? I say, well, I'm a highway. And there, you don't have to be in one lane. When you go over to Springfield, there's a mixing bowl. So you have one underpath going over the next, and it works simultaneously. And so you don't have to feel like you have to backstab, talk about somebody, click up to get in a group to be successful. God will call you to purpose. And one thing I know about purpose, it does not click up. Purpose is by itself, and God will allow you to become a genius in what he called you to, and he will put you out front. He is the best PR person. I know for a fact a lot of opportunities have came my way. I didn't even realize they were coming my way, but God put my name on someone of influence in their mind, and they thought about me, contact me, and here it is. I have been on so many different media platforms around the world. And so I wanted to just encourage you, but we will be right back after this commercial break.
Listen Vision, Listen Vision, DC's #1 recording studio. Listen Vision, Listen Vision.
People give up?
I think people give up because they don't think they're good enough.
So why do you think people give up on their dreams or any part of life?
I think people have a tendency to give up on their hopes and dreams and aspirations due to, some might say, defeat. But in defeat, there's also a lesson to be learned, and I think a lot of times, if we draw on the lessons of defeat, it actually can give you enough fuel to overcome any and everything. But ultimately, it comes down to just feeling sorry for oneself, having self-doubt, and ultimately losing focus and belief in oneself.
So, oftentimes people give up. What do you think the reason is?
I feel like people give up because they're scared to fail. And, you know, failure is like a big reason to why people don't try as hard, or they don't want to see like the end result. So I think that's why people give up.
Thank you. So, why do you think people give up on their dreams?
I think people give up because of time and because of listening to other people. They think because if you want to be a singer, you can't make it in that business. It's really, really hard. Or even when you get older, after a certain age, as a kid, you're in high school, so you have all these big dreams, big imagination, and you're like, okay, I can do this, I can do that. And then you get even older, you're in college, you're like, well, I can do this, but I can make more money in this. And then you're like, okay, well, I kind of got to change it. I like this, but I'm gonna take a little bit out of it and try my hardest to make some money. And then you get even older, and you're like, I just need to make a living. So then you kind of give up because you need to survive. You need to make a living. You need to help your family. And now you have a family. Now you have a house or an apartment or something like that, and you have no money. So it's harder to say, well, I got to chase my dream, but do I eat first? It's a little difficult. And you listen to everybody else. Everybody's telling you no, and you take it and you run with it, and you're like, well, maybe it's just not for me. No, it wasn't for them. It's just a little harder, but that doesn't mean stop.
All right. Hey guys, and welcome back. I hope you guys enjoyed that segment. The other day, my mom and I, we went out to McCormick's, and we were like, oh, we're just going to get something to eat. So on my way, I just decided I'm going to go right on location and just start asking people questions, because not only will I have, and I want Lonnie to chime in as well, this awesome woman of God that I follow. She has worked on so many different projects with us, with Lou High School. She was there with the girls, encouraging them that they can still win. A lot of times you find yourself in an area of life or in a part of a city, and it seemed like people have forgotten about you. And so it was just great to just team up with other women of purpose that, you know, that can rock with us and help us out with what it is that we're trying to do. So I wanted to not only be on set with people that are doing amazing things, but now I want to take it to the streets and let people, share their own stories, and then I will highlight everyday people as well. So I'll ask you that question: why do you think people give up on their dreams?
Partial of it is because lack of support, and as a child growing up in DC, I grew up in Bury Farms. You really don't have the positive support. So the parents maybe from the community. So you kind of don't really have much to kind of look forward to, because your environment is kind of toxic. So you think, maybe I don't need to push. Maybe I just need to stay stagnant. So you don't push as hard as you could, even though you may have it in you.
Yeah. And I think that a lot of times, I mean, I know for myself in business, I felt like I had to always run my ideas through somebody.
Yeah, the people pleasing. Let me get validation, because I'm not sure. Even though God is your source and you can go to him and he's giving you the vision, we still need to check in with somebody else.
Yeah.
And it's like, why?
I don't know. I think that's just having agreement. I don't know if if you just feel like, let me run this by my friends. And I remember one of my good friends, she said she wanted to do a magazine. And someone said to her, like, who gonna read your magazine? Or like they started drilling her with questions, and all of a sudden she's like, I don't care who's gonna read it. Like, I'm just gonna do it. Like, I'm not looking for it. And so so one of the people from Facebook said that they feel afraid.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that being afraid, that fearfulness. You like, okay, what if I don't make it? but what if you do make
Yeah,
it?
what if
You
you
know,
do?
we never stop to think, what if we do make it?
Yeah.
What's going to be the thing? You either get up and do it again or you try something different.
And I think failure is a part of success. Like
Yeah.
I remember I watched the movie about Steve Jobs, about Apple and how he created the system. And I mean, he threw a lot of computers out the window along his journey. And so I think you just got to face it.
Yeah, it's a part of the struggle. It's like we want the wedding, but we don't want the marriage
Yeah.
of the struggle.
That's good.
You know, so we need that to kind of move forward in life, but people don't want that. They're like, why does have to happen to me? It's like it's supposed to.
Yeah.
There's some glory in this.
And it doesn't mean that something is wrong with you. It means that it's something right with you.
Yeah.
And so tell our audience who Lonnie Grant is.
Awesome. So, Hulani Grant, my first name is Lonetta. Basically, I am a woman who have triumphed over tragedy. I am a mother of two. I have a boy and a girl. I am a childhood abuse survivor. I'm a dance teacher. I've always danced coming up, and I didn't have that studio training. And I said to myself, I'm a train. When I get older, I'm a train and be able to train the community. So I love being a youth advocate, you know, so anything that I can help the next generation, because that was one of the things my grandmother, even though we didn't have much, that was one thing she showed me, was giving back.
Yeah. And giving back is key. And so you don't have to, like I said earlier, you don't have to have a lot of money to make impact.
No, we didn't have much. But, you know, that community, it was like living in Bury Farms, it was just so tight-knit. You know, everybody looked out for one another. You know, the kids played, so it wasn't the best environment, was it? You know, we had our violence, but we had the community. Yeah. You can never get that, you know, it's that community.
Yeah, and I think when I was growing up in public housing myself, I didn't know if I was rich or poor. Like, I didn't know anything. My mom did a really great job of shielding us from a lot of things. Of course, as we got older, you know, violence, I think it got worse. And it would be, you know, just little things that would come up. But my mom always taught me that this doesn't have to be your ending. And so I think every time something would come up in my community, I would say, okay, this ain't the end for me. So I just kind of just got that nonchalant attitude, like, okay, it is what it is. It's a part of this community. It's a part of what comes with it. But like you said, you know, one of the things about struggle, it has a way of bringing people together.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. And so how do you balance your personal life, being a mom of two, your dance studio? I know you go to other studios and you train. Like, how do you do it all? It works. Yeah. I mean, you have a lot of hats, girl. So how are you doing this?
The number one word is God in therapy. I talk about therapy a lot. Most people will not get therapy for healing. And one of the things that I've realized, that therapy helped me to be leveled. I was all over the place a lot of the times. I was all over the place. And I was like, well, God, how can I get back? What do I need to do to stay balanced? And I'm like, God, you put these amazing people on earth so we can go seek them. So let me seek them so they can bring some clarity to my life and bring some balance. So now I'm starting my day a little different. Meditation.
Oh, so important.
So important. And even though I was talking a lot about God, but I'm like, God, I'm not spending enough time with you. Yeah. So if I'm not spending enough time with you, how can I be balanced?
Yeah, and I think the thing about it is, I think, and not to make it a racial issue, but I know that a lot of an African American community, we go to the church, for answers. And I remember it was something that I was going through. It was a state of grief. And I remember going to someone that I love her, and I was telling her, and she was like, well, God is good. And, her response was the Bible. But it wasn't until I decided to go to a Christian therapist that I got some tools.
Yeah.
And I think with therapists, they give you tools that you can implement within each day. Breathing techniques, understanding triggers, right?
Yeah, that's
and so
key.
a lot of people don't know why if you touch someone on the right shoulder and you wink twice, it's going to trigger them to punch her in the face. Like, you just don't know that
it's
stuff.
different. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I love the fact that you said therapy.
It's
That
important.
was awesome.
It's important.
Yeah. And so, how do we get in contact with you?
Yes. So the connection to get to me, my website is beautyafterbroken.com. I'm on social media, Lonnie Grant, or you can find me at Instagram at beautyafterbroken.com.
Yeah. And so I see that you put on your Facebook, lack of support isn't your biggest problem. What made you come up with that quote?
Because I realized it wasn't so much the support coming from me, it was me staying focused. I said, okay, if I can get focused, I can find my way. And one of the analogies I like to use is when you're born, everybody is given a certificate of life, that birth certificate. And at the top of that has your name. And it has two people named in the middle, which are your parents. So it wasn't, God put them there to birth me. So it wasn't the support I needed from them, it was his support. He just put them in place on the certificate of life. So I said, you gotta get focused, Lonnie. He used them to get you here. Which you ain't no blaming, ain't no pointing fingers. It's time for you to get focused. Yeah. So I tell anybody going forward, we not making excuses. We getting it done. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. Stay focused and understand that he just put them people in place to get you here. They're not the be all end all.
Right. And then I think that making sure that, and I love one of the pastors, Sharetta, she says all the time that you have to participate in your own rescue. And I think that, like you said, and I never thought about your name goes first on your birth certificate. And so your parents, they are your vehicle get you to where you are. But then you have to navigate and say, okay, this is what I need. I need a mentor, number one, finding a mentor. Number
accountability partner.
Accountability. And so Prophetess Valerie said on the last show that without accountability, you are a liability.
My God.
Isn't that powerful?
Because you are. If you're not accountable for nothing, you just fail.
I mean,
you just out. You just doing your own thing. No covering.
And so I don't understand how so many people detach themselves from any faith-based initiative, even if it's just Toastmasters, just something, or mentor, counselor, just someone that can cover you.
Yeah.
And so we talked about, your challenges that you went through and being a survivor of child abuse. What was your childhood like?
It was very dark. I didn't grow up with my mom. I grew up with my grandmother, who I was adopted by. My mom was a heroin addict. So it was like neglect from day one, being left at the hospital and having to move with a family that I knew nothing about. So I didn't choose the struggle. The struggle kind of chose me. So growing up, it was like the education system was like really messed up. And now to this day, I'm like, where was CPS at when I was getting beat on? I'm like, where in the world? Where were they at? They're getting called for every little thing now. But I think about the abuse that I went through I didn't have a rescue. There was no savior there.
Yeah. And so it's amazing because I know the Bible says that when your parents forsake you, God will beg you up.
Oh yeah.
So even in that state of abuse, God had some refuge for you. Yeah. And so what was the courage that you used to survive?
Basically, the courage I used was going back to a scripture in the Bible, honor thy mother and father, and your days will be long. And that resonated so much with me to give me strength, like, okay, you didn't say what type of parent I was going to get. You just said honor. So I had to look at that as strength, like this lady had to give me up because of the choices that she made. But I still have to gain strength to respect her, move on with my life, and now be that certificate of life at the top of my birth certificate. I'm like, okay, I still got to be that strength. So whether I liked how I grew up or whether my father was here or mother, we moving on. And you got to use that strength, that pain, and I would say pain has purpose.
Yeah,
it has purpose. You don't have to be bitter.
Yeah. And so I think that it's important to. So, do you have a mentor?
Yes.
Okay.
I do have many mentors. Actually, maybe in recent months I've developed some great mentors. So now that I'm working on my book, my writing coach became my mentor. Wow. She's amazing. My It Works upline, she's amazing. Arena. I have many, Valencia. It's so many great mentors that have been coming into my life. And I'm like, but God, you just blessing me from left to right.
Yeah. And that's the thing that I love. I mean, yesterday, what was it, on Saturday, I went to a Pink and White, and I saw there a benefit for breast cancer. And I was sitting there, and we have a circle called My Sister's Keepers. And, she was like, well, I'm going to get a table. And, I was like, okay, great. And so I had a little challenge getting there. I was just really tired trying to get myself together. And then I spilled makeup on my. So it's just like me trying to celebrate my birthday, me trying to celebrate myself. I was having challenges in that, but I persevered, pushed my way. I found another dress that I put on, which ended up being a hit. But when I got there, the table was made. She had cupcakes with my name on it. And so I had to push through that in order to realize that I needed to be celebrated in that moment. Yeah. And a lot of times with women, I know we can give up when stuff like that happen. Like, I'm not wearing that outfit, because it's not about what's on the outside.
It's inside. It's how you feel on the inside.
Yeah, it's about how you feel on the inside. And I had a great time.
Yes.
No one would have ever known what
that
happened.
You went through.
That I went through. And so I had an amazing time. And just, you know what I mean? And it is amazing to me because I have some friends that I've known all of my entire life. And it always amazes me how I continue to open myself up to new people. Because at one point in my life, it was, no new friends. And I got my friends and I got my 4 and no more. But once I began to step out, I was able to connect friends in purpose.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Because you think about back then, you had friends, but we didn't really have purpose. It was hanging out. It was, we didn't really understand purpose. Right. Now, when you're meeting people, you're like, oh my gosh, these people are purpose.
Yeah. And so that's the part I love. And so a lot of times, your answer could be in someone else that you're afraid to speak to.
Your answer is in the room. So every time I go to women's empowerment or different things, I always say, God, my answer is in this room.
Yeah.
It's in this room.
And it can very well.
And I don't even know who I'm connected to in this room. Even you can't even go in with a look to say, I'm looking for this type of friend. You don't know who he gonna send you.
You don't know. I mean, I think about the Bible, how Mary and Elizabeth, they met in this crossroads. She was on a journey alone. She was on the run, remember? So it wasn't like she was on a great journey. because what she was carrying on the inside of her was a felon. It was a wanted Americans, the world's most wanted baby. And so she was carrying this child, but she was on the run. And so while she's on the run, she couldn't tell nobody because in that time it's like, I need you to leave because there's a decree to kill new babies. So while she's on the run, don't know where she going, where she's fleeing, she meets Elizabeth in that journey, not knowing where she was going, and she literally gave her something to just hold her over to get to that destiny of birthing something. And then she didn't birth in a clean environment. I mean, the environment was for animals, but she didn't care what she birthed. She had to get it out of her. And so earlier when I was talking about people waiting for all conditions to be favorable, waiting for what? Yes, girl, look. Once my business loan come through, then I'll launch. Once my pastor stands me up on the platform and put some oil on me and lay hands on me, then I'm gonna go through. I'm gonna push through. No. Sometimes your breakthrough is not in. Nobody ain't gonna know. Sometimes you just gonna have to want it and gun it. Sometimes I'm like, I gotta jump and grow my wings when I get down.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like an eagle. An eagle is not really taught to fly. There's no eagle class. The mother eagle pushes the eaglet out, and it has to learn to fly. Now, if it doesn't fly at that moment, it swoops in to help it.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like when I hear that voice saying, "Kel, it's time to do something," the reservation isn't there anymore because it's been proven that I'm gonna be okay.
You're gonna be okay. And that's one of the things I had to learn with Beauty After Broken. I'm like, I gotta do it. I have to tell my story. I have to get out there. You know, a lot of people would look at me like, I didn't know you was homeless. I'm like, yeah. I was a case manager going to work every day, but going right back to Shepherd's Cove Women's Shelter with no problem. You know, still with a smile on my face. I met some amazing women there. Again, you just don't know what the connection may be for you.
And I remember going to that women's shelter and blessing the women with, we just did a sheet drive, you know, and a toy drive. And, you know, because guess what? God says that when I was hungry, did you help me? When I was in jail, when I was locked up, did you send me something? And a lot of times people forget about those people.
Because remember, some people a paycheck away from being that people. You know, and he humbled me so much in that time. I was like, wow.
Yeah. And so where did you come up with that name?
I was sitting and I was just praying about it because I said, God, even when I go to the school system, I'm always telling the young people about my story as I teach dance. And I'm like, some of these kids remind me of me. I was just broken and I needed to feel beautiful. So one day I woke up, it just hit me. Beauty After Broken. I said, that's it. That is it. So now when I talk to the young people, I'm like, I'm going at a different angle. It's just not about 8 counts. We gonna take your 8 count and tell your story. I know that. Cause I've been where you been. You know, I look at these young girls and I'm like, you know, they don't mean no harm. You know, I don't take things that they do personal because I was that little girl. Yeah. And I just needed somebody to come in because you felt like people don't understand you. But, you know, a part of me did the prom drive. And I was like, you know, when I met your mom, I said, she reminds me of a lady that took me like that at elementary. And I was like, oh, my gosh. Found hope. Yes, they're out here.
There is somebody out there. So do you think there's anything that you would change about yourself or your story or just anything?
I used to feel like changing my story, you know, the struggle, but then I'm like, nah, I wouldn't be here if I didn't struggle. So I think one of the things that I know I would change is I wanted to get therapy sooner. Because if I would have gotten healing sooner, some of the things that I've gone through, work, business, it would be a little bit more stable because I would have been like, okay, you know, this this needs stability. But I didn't know to be stable because I was all over the place because of the childhood trauma. I was taking it on. It was generational curses. I was just, even relationships. So that's one thing I would change, getting the help sooner.
Yeah, and the thing about it is, as you was talking, I heard broken crayons still color.
Oh, yeah.
So money you can still spend
So,
it.
yes, you can.
So even in that vulnerable place that I was in, I remember having a baby and I was young, and I remember losing that child and thinking that I was in love, thinking that this person loved me and all of those things, and not knowing. That was my first time of understanding that people will love you until they can't use you anymore.
Yep.
And so people love to show up for the turn up.
Oh,
but they don't always show up for the broken state. And so I remember in that broken state, which really is the reason why I'm doing Coach Kellie. I think that story alone, beyond the fact that, the homelessness, but I think it was the brokenness that caused me, that was like that pressurized moment that I needed to just allow that old Kellie to just crumble. And I start over. And I remember, being home. I was not home. I remember just sitting there. And of course, when you miscarry, you're in pain and all of that stuff. And I'm just sitting there and I'm laying in a bed. And so I remember him coming up to the hotel and he sat with me all the 15 minutes. And he was like, I'm going to see my man at, me and my friends, we about to link up at Pentagon City. And I'm thinking to myself, I have just went through a near-death experience. Matter of fact, I went through a death experience because I lost something that was inside of me growing.
Yeah.
And so to be that insensitive let me know the what not man, because I don't man bash, but I realized that the sovereignty of God.
Mm-hmm.
And in that situation, I realized that you can't put your faith into a human being as I did in that moment, because all I really wanted was a hug. And based on his background, he didn't come from a family of hugging. He came from a family of abuse himself, so he could not give. He didn't even have the capacity, and that was one of the things that, as with therapy, I realized, this person doesn't have the capacity to house what you come with.
Yeah.
He can't handle who you are because he's a broken person himself. And so I'm not upset. At that point, I was like, oh my God. And I remember they gave me pain meds, they gave me Percocet, and I actually was tempted to take the whole bottle that day. Like, I can end this now. Like, this is shameful, this is embarrassing. I'm gonna have to go back and tell this story that I gotta, this person who I thought that I was gonna be with now, I definitely don't wanna be with that person. So now I gotta tell my friends the story. And sometimes shame has a way of trying to block your purpose because you want to tell your story.
Yeah.
And so in me facing the wall, I remember just turning to the wall, and I remember just crying my eyes out. And then the wall, it's like the wall spoke back to me and said, thanks, sir. It was like the wall was like, look at you. You sitting here in a hotel, you don't have anything. You lost your man, you lost your child. Now you in shame. And it was like, I felt so broken in that moment. But then it was like, I know God though. I was grown. I grew up in church.
Yeah.
So I know that I could speak against all of those feelings that I was feeling. And I said, God, if you get me out of this situation. And he did. And so now I have traveled the world for free, doing what I love in the beauty industry. And so he is the beauty. Like you said, he is the beauty.
He really is the beauty. You're like, okay, you can fix my brokenness. You can fix it. Yeah. But just seeing that light, a lot of women don't see it yet. They're like, I don't know. They put so much faith in man. It's like, get to it.
Yeah. And the Bible says it best. It says that God will give you, he would give you beautiful ashes. And I think that was one of those scriptures when he says beautiful ashes. But the thing about it is, in order to get ashes, you have to let something break.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times, and my mom said it the other day, and it pierced my soul when she said that sometimes when light, and this is for somebody, I know that it's somebody right now trying to put the pieces together. And I'm here to tell you, let it burn. Let it burn, like my mom just put over there. Look, burn, baby.
Baby, burn.
Let the whole thing just calm down.
Yes.
If you have to start over, it is a blessing in starting over.
Yes,
it is a blessing in walking away. You don't have to be with somebody for the rest of your life and be broken for the rest of your life. And a lot of people stay in situations that's not working for the sake of having a situation. But I guarantee you this, that if you let it go, some foundations was built on the wrong foundation from the beginning. So when you let that foundation crumble, that happened in Nehemiah. God didn't tell Nehemiah to stop it from burning. He said, stay on the wall and pray while it burned, and I will rebuild it. And so God want to take you to the other side. And so when Lot's wife, and I wasn't intending to be preaching, but when when Lot's wife was looking back at a burning place, at a broken place, she turned to salt.
She turned to a pillar of salt.
Which is salty. There's a lot of salty people out here that's preserved in their last situation. God never told Lot or his wife to build. He said put a tent. The key word was tent. Tent is temporary. But so many people build foundations under a tent, under some temporary relationship, under some temporary job. Guess what? He didn't say you supposed to work for the government for 20 years, 30 years, 40. That's not your story. Yeah. So it's some people right now that's in transition saying, I don't know what is my next. It's okay not to know. It's okay to walk away. I'm not an advocate for, some people walk away and curse their boss out. But if things have not been working for you in your life, if you have tried to get a job and every time you turn around, you're trying to get another job and no one seems to want to hire you, it's probably because you were born to be a CEO.
Yeah.
Point blank. That's why it ain't working. You trying to work everything else. And you have not once said, God, what is your dream for me? What is God's dream for you? Is it for you to, because we as women, as independent women, we can tend to have 14 things on our dreams and never say, God, what's your dream for me? Because that's a game changer.
Oh, yeah. And I said that on my live this morning. Are you putting your faith in Google or God? So we go to Google for inaccurate answers and we expect it to be accurate and it's not accurate. So Google could be these naysayers. They could be your friends that really don't see, doing much, but you're going to Google and Google don't always give you accurate information.
They don't know. Or if you are a person, and I love that quote. Thank you so much. That quote that it says that either you're going to build your dream or you're going to work in somebody else's dream.
That's it.
So which one is it going to be? Because it's nothing wrong with being in the background. It's okay. Yeah. I mean, it's good. It's some people who love being a secretary. It's some people who have an anointing for administration.
Love it. Not me, but they love it. Yeah. They love it.
And it's some people who may not ever be good in administration, but they can build a brand from $1, like I said, with successful looks, starting successful looks in 2007 with old clothes. So a lot of people see me now and they're like, "Oh my God, you have these different, you've had different boutiques and things like that." But they didn't know that boutique was boutique your closet. Okay, and if you ain't fit my size, you wasn't in the boutique. And then one day I met a lady, and this is what's so amazing, that you keep your frequencies. And I say, I want to say this, if you are in a season where you really haven't been able to connect the dots, don't do nothing. Don't launch nothing. Just
Stay still.
Be still and say the words, universe, respond to the frequency of my destiny.
That's it.
Because when you say that, something begins to germinate in the universe. Because guess what? If I always put myself last. The universe puts me last, and then you complain. But see, you've shown everyone else that I can be last.
Last, yep.
No, I'm
You've been
first.
okay with last.
I'm not helping you to build your business no more. I'm not serving nobody else. I'm going to sit there, and that was one of the things that I did for 30 days. That's why all of my books start with 30 days. One time for 30 days, I didn't do anything. I didn't turn on the TV. I didn't turn on Facebook. I didn't turn on the radio, and I had a pen and a paper everywhere I went, and every time something was downloaded on, I heard the universe talking to me. I heard God talking to me. Do this, do this, do this, do this. And I'm telling you, this can't nobody get the credit for. Can't nobody say, "Oh well, Coach Kellie stole that from me," because I didn't talk to anybody.
Right.
I limited my conversations. I ate just vegetables and fruits because I needed to cleanse myself from all of the frequencies. You got social media.
A lot of different energies.
It's so many energies that can be around you. So it's so important when you're in that season where you can't connect the dots and you trying to make it happen and you feel like you hyperventilating to live your life. Stop it. Let it burn. It doesn't have to take care. Tomorrow will have to take care of itself because today I'm taking care of me.
Yeah, that's it. Living for now.
Yeah, and I'm going to live in it now and I'm going to make it happen. And so we have to, this show went by too fast.
Yes. It was exciting.
I mean, it did, but I knew that, I knew for a fact when I invited you, I was like, I'm not going to have any other guests. Because usually I have 2 guests, you know what I mean? But I knew that your story needed a full hour.
Thank you.
Because it's that powerful. And I just pray that God would just erect platforms for you, for your story. Because there are so many women that you are called to that's at home right now sad or broken. Because of being victims of child abuse. And so thank you so much for telling your story. We have a question, a live question. The last one. Okay. So what would you say to someone who is experiencing challenges today?
So my first thing that I want to say to you guys is seek help. You got to know when to ask for help. And it's not always going to be your friends and family because some of them are the environment that you was broken in. So I want you guys to really take the time and get professional help. Heal.
Absolutely. And so next week on the Coach Kellie Show, we're going to have an amazing time. Stay tuned. Follow us on our Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. On all social platforms, it's Coach Kellie Speaks. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. That way, you can get Lonnie all by herself. You can fast forward, rewind to see what she says, and we put it on YouTube as your way of just going back and catching a replay. Don't limit yourself to, well, I don't want nobody to know. Guess what? Go to counseling. Do what she said. I thought that was the greatest advice. See counseling. But we will see you on next week. Don't forget to join the conversation. Bye, everyone. Hello everyone, it's your girl Coach Kellie of the Coach Kellie Speaks Talk Show. Last week our special guest was Maya Wright from We Can Survive.
Today I'm dealing with death and disappointment of some sort. Nobody's excited when they find out they have been diagnosed with cancer or their cancer comes back. So I've had to learn how to turn my phone off. I no longer accept calls in the middle of the night. I used to have my phone on 24 hours a day, get out the bed.
Wow, wasn't that amazing? If you missed it, you can catch the replay on YouTube at Coach Kellie Speaks. you think people give up?
I think people give up because they don't think they're good enough.
So why do you think people give up on their dreams or any part of life?
I think people have a tendency to give up on their hopes and dreams and aspirations due to, some might say, defeat. But in defeat, there's also a lesson to be learned, and I think a lot of times, if we draw on the lessons of defeat, it actually can give you enough fuel to overcome any and everything. But ultimately, it comes down to just feeling sorry for oneself, having self-doubt, and ultimately losing focus and belief in oneself.
So oftentimes people give up. What do you think the reason is?
I feel like people give up because they're scared to fail. And, failure is like a big reason to why people don't try as hard, or they don't want to see like the end result. So I think that's why people give up.
Thank you. So why do you think people give up on their dreams?
I think people give up because of time and because of listening to other people. They think because if you want to be a singer, you can't make it in that business, so it's really, really hard. Or even when you get older, after a certain age, as a kid, you're in high school, so you have all these big dreams, big imagination, and you're like, okay, I can do this, I can do that. And then you get even older, you're in college, you're like, well, I can do this, but I can make more money in this. And then you're like, okay, well, I kind of got to change it. I like this, but I'm gonna take a little bit out of it and try my hardest to make some money. And then you get even older, and you're like, I just need to make a living. So then you kind of give up because you need to survive. You need to make a living. You need to help your family. And now you have a family. Now you have a house or an apartment or something like that, and you have no money. So it's harder to say, well, I got to chase my dream, but do I eat first? It's a little difficult. And you listen to everybody else. Everybody's telling you no, and you take it and you run with it, and you're like, well, maybe it's just not for me. No, it wasn't for them. It's just a little harder, but that doesn't mean stop.